Hello everyone and welcome to Community Force webinar. My name is Mehreen Mirza, as most of you all know, and I will be facilitating today's session. Also, I will be answering your questions during the dedicated Q&A break as well as during the entire session. So if you have any questions, please feel free to type in your questions and I will respond back to you by typing in my answers. Okay. Now with us is Christine Smith, who will be our trainer for today and will walk us through all of the key areas under today's topic. Now, before we get started, I'd like to show you a few key features to help you make the most of this webinar. On the right-hand side of your screen, you'll see a panel with an orange arrow. You can use this arrow to expand or collapse the panel. To ask a question, please type in the question area and hit send or enter. We'll do our best to answer as many questions as we can, either by typing them in or addressing them verbally during the Q&A break. If we miss answering any of your questions, don't worry, we'll follow up with the email after the webinar. Also, a copy of today's presentation is available in the handout section. Click on the handout title to download it. This handout includes links to help guides, knowledge-based articles for each of the topics that we are covering today. For a smooth experience, everyone has been put on mute to minimize any background noise. Since most of you have joined, let's get started. The topic for today's session is awarding applicants one-to-one application process. And the duration of the webinar is 1 hour. With that, I'll now hand over the mic to Christine. Thank you, everyone, and enjoy the session.
And thank you, Maureen, for getting us started. So let's go ahead and proceed with the session for today. So just as a brief introduction, this webinar is going to cover a brief overview of how to award your applicants when using a one-to-one application process. So that's when you have one application form and you have just one funding source attached to that application, and then that's the funding source that you're going to be using to award your applicants. So when you have that specific process, that one-to-one process, then we're going to show you how to award applicants using just that one-to-fund process. And then also we'll discuss how to build out acceptance sections and post-accepted sections. Those allow you to collect information after they've been awarded. So these are ways to collect information for them to do an award agreement. Or maybe you have quarterly reports or annual reporting. How do you gather all that data and how can they report that through the application form as well? So we'll talk about that today. So of course, who's going to benefit from today's webinars? This is going to be any of you administrators that are responsible for awarding your applicants, as well as notifying your applicants of the awards, releasing the award agreements, and also doing the follow-up status reporting to your applicants. And like we said, this is that one-to-one application process. So we will be using the grant site today, but know that if you're a scholarship user, it's the exact same type of screens that you're going to be seeing, except you might see the word grant instead of scholarship, that sort of thing, or fellowship. So just not to be confused, it is going to be the same items, and they're going to be called the same other than just the grant and scholarship terminology. So the topics we're going to be covering is the area Manage Awards One Fund. When you do an award, how to make an edit to those awards, and then how to notify your applicants once they've received the award, or once you've awarded them and you want to notify them of the award. There's an email template out there that we wanted to talk about some of the merge fields you want to make sure to use. And then we'll take a quick 5 to 10 minute break. And then at the break, Maureen will answer any questions that may have come about. And then we'll proceed with the post-acceptance and the acceptance sections, how to build those, how to release those to your applicants, and then how to monitor when they've completed those. Where do you see that? So to get started, of course, let's go ahead and discuss the first item, which is the Manage Awards One Fund. So the Manage Awards One Fund is the area on the site where you will be using to award your applicants. It's a specific tab on the screen. And so it's a location that you can go to do that. So that's where we'll be working today on the awarding aspect. So let's go ahead and go to the site. And like I said, this is a grant site, but again, it's the same terminology, same locations, same screens that you're going to be seeing for the scholarship users. Let me get logged in. And I have been having a little bit of technical difficulty today with my computer, but hopefully we'll get through this okay. So just forewarning, if we have a couple places where we slow up, I apologize in advance for that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm logged in on the home page. Now there's a couple of areas before you start awarding you want to confirm. So the first place you want to confirm is in the application form itself. So I'm going to open up my application form. And you want to make sure that you're awarding in the appropriate fiscal year. You want to make sure your fund has the appropriate fiscal year as well as the application form. So when you created the application, under application settings here, when you first built that application, as part of one of the settings, you went into an area called general information. And on that general information, that's where you identified right here under this field, fiscal year. This is the academic year, the award year, the fiscal year that you're awarding. So the fund's looking at this year, and it's always driven by the application form. The fund is looking at the application and this year, and you're, according to the application, it's saying the awarding is for the fiscal period 25-26. So this is my 25 program, and so my awarding is going to be the 25-26 fiscal year. So that's one thing. You want to make sure your money's coming out of the correct fiscal year for each individual fund. And so, of course, if you're not if it's not correct before you start awarding, you want to make sure you do that, because once you start awarding, it's going to put it in that fiscal year. So, so what you need to do is come here and then you can make your adjustment. If it's not correct, select the correct year that you want it to be in, and then make sure to hit save and exit to make sure that that is correct. And then once you're done with that, you want to go and confirm the fund as well. Usually when you save that, it'll ask for the, confirm the fund information. And so when I'm talking about the fund, since this is a one-to-one application, if I look at my application form here on the home page, I go over here to the grant. This is my fund that I'm going to be awarding my applicants. So I want to make sure that I've got the correct monetary amount on the correct academic year. So how do you do that? So I'm just going to highlight this so I can get a copy of it so that I can just get the correct name, because now I'm going to go over here to manage funds. And in the manage funds, I'm going to search for that fund that I just copied and hit search. And now that I've found it, I'm going to go ahead and click on it. And I'm going to look at my amount awarded. So I have, and my budget amount available. So the budget amount is what the system's looking at. If you're not sure, you can always just hit the edit here. And that budget amount is what I want to confirm that it's the correct fiscal year. So here I'm looking at annual budget fiscal year. And I have my $100,000 is what I want to award for this period. And it's the 25-26 fiscal period. Now, if you're wondering, okay, what is the fiscal period? You can actually hit this little green icon here. And this will show what your different monetary amounts were for each fiscal period. You can see in my 24-25, I didn't have anything. My 25-26, I have 100,000. I've awarded 7 already. So that's what I want to make sure of, that I have the correct monetary amount to be awarding out of the correct fiscal year. And then, of course, if you don't have that fiscal year available, you do need to hit the plus sign here. But before you do that, select the fiscal year. So let's say I wanted the 26-27, which it's not, because that's not what my application form is, because if I changed it here and then I don't change it on the application form, it's not going to match up. So that's what's very important. The application's looking at the fiscal year and saying it's the 25-26. And so that's the year I'm awarding, and so I want to make sure I have a monetary amount in there, which I do. But what I'm showing you now is if you didn't have a monetary amount, how do you do that? So right here, you can see that plus sign is there, but I don't want to hit it yet. I have the year I want to put, and then I would put my monetary amount here, and then I would hit the plus sign to save it. But I don't need to save anything because I don't want to enter anything for that period because I'm not in that period right now in this demonstration purpose. So I'm looking at this one. This is what my application form says, and I do have the monetary amount set up correctly. And then of course, if I wanted to make an edit to it, I could come here and hit the edit and then make my change too. And then once you've made any adjustments, you do want to make sure to go to the end of the page and hit save and exit to save those. Okay, so those figures that we were just looking at, when we get to the awarding screen, which I'm going to jump to here in a minute, you're going to see where you see that on the award screen as well. So now I'm going to jump home. So those are the two areas we wanted to make sure before we started the awarding. We want to make sure we have the monetary amount for the correct fiscal year, and the fiscal year is correct in the application form on the application. So now I'm going to go home. I'm going to go back to my application. And now we're going to go and we're ready to award. Everything's ready, everything's set up, we're ready to start awarding. So where do you do that? So I clicked on the application form and I'm on this screen here, but I'm looking up here for this tab where it says awards and selecting it. And then once you select it, you want to change this over here to Manage Awards One Fund. Manage Awards Multiple Funds is if you have a one-to-many process, so you do not want to award using the multiple funds. So you want to use the Manage Awards One Fund. There are some caveats for that, but that's for special circumstances. So the majority of you are using this. If you have a special circumstance, the staff, when you got the site, would have been going over that with you. So with the one-to-one, you want to use the Manage Awards One Fund. When you select that, this is the screen you see. So down here, we see all of our applicants that are going to be awarded. These are the ones who have submitted. And of course, if you are a scholarship user, you won't have an organization name. You more than likely don't have a program name. You're just going to have the applicant and their email address. But since this is a grant site and we're awarding agencies, we have an organization name. So if you're a scholarship user, that's the only difference you're going to see on this screen is you won't have these two columns here, but everything else is the same. So remember, we just looked at the monetary amount. So this is the grant that's tied. I'm looking at that monetary amount, and there we are. I know it's correct because it says 100,000. It has the initial award that I looked at a minute ago. It showed there was 7,000 that was awarded, and then I had unallocated of 93. So we know everything's looking good. So now I'm ready to award. So awarding is pretty simple. It's a pretty basic couple clicks of the button and you're done type situation, I should say. And a one-to-one application process. So when you're ready to award, so you're going to notice on this screen, you can access a few different things. You can look at the total score and the average score. Now this total score, if you have more than one task card, so remember when we were looking at results, and even though you are a one-to-one application, you might have multiple tasks. So here we're looking at, this is the total score across all tasks that are turned on. So if you're awarding applicants and you're looking at the score, and maybe they fell within a couple of different tasks for the review process and those scores are different, you do want to make sure and go into the evaluation and turn the tasks off so that you can just see that score if you want to. Or if you're looking at each individual applicant, then you can just come over here and you can view their scorecard. And that'll give you the scores as well. And if there's more than one task card, it'll give you the tasks and you can figure out the scores there. Now, one thing you want to note is when you are looking at the total scores, when it's looking at the average, it's averaging across all of those who have actually scored the applicant. So the total score is based on the tasks that are active and the average on the scores that are there. So let's go here. So like here we have a total score of 119 and you notice the average is 119. So what I'm saying is since no one else, even though there was 3 reviews, If you notice, the average is only averaging on the ones that actually reviewed. That's why it's giving us a total score of 119 and an average, because these two didn't score. So that's something you want to be concerned that you're looking at, is when you are looking at the awarding on this screen. It's like when you're looking at the awarding from the ad hoc report, it's only giving you the totals based on those who actually scored and averaging based on those who actually scored. So I'm just going to go back here, and you notice I'm clicking the breadcrumbs to go back. Okay, so that's how you can look at the score. Now, if there was automated score like there is here, you're going to see there's an automated score here. That's going to show on this page is also on here also. You can see the automated score. And then you may be wondering, what's this requested figure and this budget figure? Well, these are actually tied to questions. A lot of our grant users have these, scholarships don't, but you can have them in scholarships if you'd like. These are tied to the questions that are specifically designed. They have a specific XML language, an XML name called requested amount and budget amount. And those XMLs know that when they're created with that specific XML name, that's why it's when this application's built, those XML names are used, because then when you come here, you can see, okay, this is what they've requested. This is what they have budgeted. And so now when I'm doing my award, I can quickly see, what are they asking for and what do they need? And then I can make my determination on what I want to award them. So that's what those two fields are, and that's how they're populated. If you don't have the requested amount or budget amount XML in the build of that application, that XML name in the build of that application, then that data will not show up here on that question that they're collecting that data on. Okay, then you'll also notice over here, you're going to see the status. Now, as you start awarding, this status is going to change. It's going to go from, as soon as we do a final award, it's going to change from whatever the status is, this one here under committee review, it's going to change that to selected for award as soon as I put a figure in the final award and I save it. So what can happen is, if you are using post-accepted sections and acceptance sections and post-accepted sections, those are usually set to appear when an applicant gets to selected for an award. So you're going to notice we have two columns here. We have an initial award, and we also have a final award. So it's nice with the initial award. You do not have to use it, but it's a very helpful tool. And you're doing your awarding and you're looking at your figures, but you don't want them to be a status of selected for an award yet. So you can enter figures in the initial award column. And then once you're done with all your awarding, you can look at it. And then there's a nice quick tool, which I'll show you here before we get out of this screen, that you can automatically move the initial award to the final award, and then they'll go to that status. And of course, this is nice too, the initial award. If you populate that initial award column before you do the final award, you actually have where you can export this to Excel. So what some of our users use is they'll award the applicants based on the initial award. They'll create the report, send it to the board, get the board approval, because they don't want anything going to the applicant yet, so they don't want to do a final award yet. They get the board approval, then you can come back here and then populate the final award with the actual approval that you've gotten from the board based off of that. So then you can just come back here and then you can start putting those final awards in. Okay, so how do you award? So we talked about what these screens are. How do you award? So to start entering awards, so once you're here, you're ready, you want to start awarding, you come up here where it says edit mode, and you click this field, edit mode. And then once you're here in the edit mode, you'll notice as soon as I clicked that, notice how these fields opened up. And then also, if you're using status details, you can populate that data as well. So these columns right here, the initial award and the final award. So let's say I'm going to do what I was talking about. I have my initial award, and I don't want to put them as selected for an award yet. I want to look at everything and then go back in and do that. So what I'm going to do is everyone I want to award, I come here and I select everyone that I am planning on awarding here. Let's just do a couple. Let's see, this one here still needs an award. And then this one here, we'll just do 3 of them. Okay, so once I've selected them, then I can go on those individuals, and I'm going to start here. I'm going to give them, let's see, let's only give them 1,000. And then this one, I'll do 1,000. And then this one, I can see, okay, let's give her 5,000. Okay, so now I'm in, so you just go through that and you enter it, and it is per page. So for each page, you do want to hit save, and then you can go to the next page. You don't want to go here and then switch pages because you're going to lose the data that you have here. So it is per page. So once you're done with this page, so I do want you to notice the statuses here. They should not change on me. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save. Okay, so now once I've hit save, now you'll see I have my initial award, but those statuses still say under committee review for those 3 that I did. And now I'm ready to continue if I'd like. So that's the basic how you do that. Now, if you notice when I go into edit mode, there's another nice couple tools I want to talk about before we get into making edits or putting something to a final award, is if you click on this little drop down arrow here, and I click on this that says update initial final award. So this is a nice tool if you are doing awards, and let's say all of your awards are the same. So everyone's going to get $1,000. So you have a $1,000 award that you're giving to everyone. So what this does is this is something where you can select, let me cancel it because you do need to select the applicants first. So you could select your applicants. Let's just do these 3. These 3 don't have figures in them. And come here, and you have a couple selections. I can say just update the initial award. So maybe I just want to put initial award right now. I don't want to do that final award. Or I can change it, and maybe I want to bypass the initial award and I want to do a final award. I can do that as well. Or I can do both initial and final if I wish to do that. So I'm just going to do the initial award right now, because what I'm doing, I'm just awarding. And so what this is everyone that you selected is going to get the same scenario. Based on what I selected here, they're going to get that same scenario. So everyone, I'm going to put 1,000 in here. You know what, so I can pick those out easy. Let's make that 1,500. Everyone gets 1,500. And so whatever I put here, and whoever I selected here, as soon as I hit update, it should have put the 1,500 and then initial award. So that's a nice little tool to have. So it just puts it wherever you tell you want it, but it's nice because some of our clients, they all award their applicants the same amount. And so that way you don't have to sit there and go 100, 1,500, 1,500 and type it in. You can actually use that nice little tool to do that. Now you'll notice it's still open. So there's one more step after you do that. You do want to make sure to click save, because if you don't click save and you go out, it will not save that information that you just created. Okay, so now I have everything in the initial award. So now I exported this, I've given it to my board's approved it. I'm ready to start notifying my applicants that they've been awarded. So I'm ready to move the initial award to the final award. So there's 1 of 2 ways you could do this. You could go the long route, where you could click the edit mode, click the individual, come here and enter the figure. However, on this Manage Awards One Fund, there's a nice little tool. I'm going to cancel out. I'm back on this page, so you know where I'm at. I'm just going to go out real quick. So I'm on Manage Awards One Fund. I'm on this screen here where I can see the information. Nothing is open. So none of these award fields are open, so I know I'm on the right screen. So what do I want to do? So everyone that's an initial award, I do need to select. So I'm going to select. That one's been done. That one. And that one. You do need to select it before you do it. Okay, so I should have 1, 2, 3, 4. That one's already done. That one. Okay. So now, since I'm not in the edit mode, remember, I'm not in the edit mode. You go over here now and click on this little arrow. And now you'll see an item that says update final award. So if I click that, it's going to tell me I'm going to take everything that's in the initial award and copy it to the final award. So I'm saying, yep, please do that. I want you to do that. I'm going to hit continue. And now you'll notice, look, over here, their status is now changed, selected for an award. And now that they have that final award. So it's whenever you populate a final award, whether you use the update with selecting or you go into the edit mode and enter it that way, then it's going to put them at selected for an award. So now their status is changed, and now anything that is triggered to appear when they're selected for an award is now going to be on that applicant's dashboard. So that's why it's always important to do this when you're ready to start notifying your applicants that they've been awarded. Okay, so that's how you do that. So what about editing? So let's say I go to award an applicant and I realize, oh, you know what? I didn't mean to give them 1,500. I only meant to give them 1,000. Or you know what? I awarded somebody. I picked the wrong person. How do I undo it? Okay, so let's go back to that award screen. So here we are. So see this one here. Let's say this one here. I realize, you know what? I didn't mean to award them. How do I undo it? So again, you go into the edit mode. And again, notice their status. So maybe I didn't mean to give this person an award. So what I can do is I can select it. You always anytime you make an adjustment or anytime you're awarding somebody, you do have to select them. It's very important to select them. And so I want to change this to 0 and I want to change this to 0. So here's what's going to happen. As soon as you change it to 0, they're no longer receiving an award. So notice their status. It says selected for an award. Now I'm going to go down here on one of these that was 1,500, and I'm just going to change this to 1,000 so you can see the difference. So this one says selected for an award, so they're still getting an award. But if you make an adjustment to 0, what the system will do is, if I hit save, as soon as I do that, notice it went back to under committee review. So whatever the last status was, it's going to put them back to that status because they no longer have a monetary amount. But notice the one that I just reduced the amount to 15, then it went ahead and kept them at selected for an award. Okay, so that's editing. That's very simple, right? It's just you go in to the edit mode and make your adjustments as needed. Now the next step, so now we're done awarding in our scenario. I'm done awarding my applicants. Now you may ask, what about, okay, I've awarded my applicants and now I want to notify them. So you can notify them from the screen. It's just a matter of coming here, selecting them, and selecting the notify. And then this template comes up. Now there is an email template that we have, and I'm going to open it up here in the notification center in just a minute. So when you're notifying from here, you just go to the email template and you find your template, award notification email, and then it's there, and then you can just schedule it to go out. So maybe you want to do all your awarding, but you don't want the emails to go out till tomorrow. Then you can do all your awarding and do your emails and have them, change it so that it's not till tomorrow they don't get notified. And then this will send the email notifying your applicants that they've been awarded and that what their next steps are. You would want to put that in this email. Now, this is not something that goes out automatically. It is something that you manually have to send to them. But I'm just showing you can do that from the screen, and there is a template available. So let's go look at that template because I want to talk about some key merge fields you want to have in that template. So let's go to the notification center here. And then in the notification center, when you're awarding your applicants, there's a couple of merge fields.
Christine,
Yes.
sorry, we're still on the presentation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I'm on
Okay.
the notifying the awards applicant on
Okay.
the, yes, yeah. So there's a couple of fields you want to be cautious of, and that's the final award and what you're using when you're doing those merge fields. Okay, so now we're going to go back to the site, and here we're going to go to the notification center. And then under the notification center, we're going to be looking for the template and the name of the template. And you can make your own templates as well. This is just one that is a pre-designed template that comes with the site. So here's the award notification email. Okay, so when anytime you send a notification and you select this email, so this is the template. And so the fields I want to talk about, since this is a one-to-one application form, you want to make sure you have the fields in this template for the one-to-one process. So key fields, of course, is the name, the applicant first name, last name. This is a grant site, so I have organization name, but you would want to make sure you have the applicant name and that data. And then since this is a one-to-one application form, depending on when you're sending this email. So let's say you just populated the initial award field and you haven't done the final award because you want to do the initial award, notify your applicants that in a couple of days the site's going to show, their next steps, but you wanted to notify them of the award. But you haven't populated the final award, then you want to make sure to use the initial award. But if you have populated the final award at the time that you've notified them, that final award column, then you want to make sure you have the final award merge field. So when you're sending this email template, that's where you want to ask yourself, when in your process are you notifying your applicants? Just on the initial after you've gotten your approval, or are you doing it at the final stage? Some different clients do it different. So that's why we have these two fields, because that way you can, if you don't want to do it on the final award yet, you can. But just know their status isn't going to be selected for an award if it's that initial award. But what they do is they notify their applicants, then they come back, put everything to final award, and then everything goes to selected for an award, and everything's on the applicant's dashboard ready to go. Okay, so that's what you want to make sure of, which one you get. And then also, since this is a one-to-one application, you want to make sure you have the name of the funding source that they're being awarded. So that's this grant fellowship name. And so this is in a one-to-one application only. And so you want to make sure you have this grant fellowship name merge field in there. So what this is saying is they're getting this award. This is the name of the award. And then if they have the final award amount, I'm saying they've got, this is the amount they're being awarded, and then this is the name of the award that they're being awarded. Now don't put these fields, these are for multiple awards. This is award details and initial award details. You do not use those in a one-to-one application process. Do not enter those fields into this process because it will not give you the correct data on the award name and the award amount, just so you know. Okay. So that's the template there. So I'm going to stop here and take a break and let Maureen answer any questions that may have come up to this point. It's all yours, Maureen.
Yes, Christine. Sorry, I was just typing in an answer. Just
That's
give
okay.
me a second there. Yep. Okay. So we do have quite a few questions. One of the questions that we have is, okay, the biggest thing is here, are you all going to receive a recording of today's webinar? Definitely, every attendee who has joined this call or even registered, you will receive a recording of today's webinar tomorrow after 24 hours in your inbox. Okay. Then there is a question that says, is there a field in a task card or an application that can auto-complete the award amount? Now, for the award amount to get auto-completed, the amount has to be first filled in to the final award field under Manage Awards, Manage Award One Fund screen. Without filling in this information, the information will not get populated. The field is actually awarded scholarship or awarded grant under application settings. Christine, can we go to application settings, please? So this field, when you set this up within the application itself, right? Can we go to one of the sections? Yeah, one of the sections. Yes, Christine. And let's click on add a question. Add question. Yeah. There we go. And if we click on the drop down, there is a question type, that is a field that says awarded grant. Now, in this case, because we are using a grant site, it says awarded grant. But on your scholarship site, it would say awarded scholarship. If you use this field, and when you enter the final award for under an applicant, this information, that is the award information, gets auto-populated on the applicant dashboard. So for that, you have to fill in the final information field under Manage Awards, One Fund Screen. I hope I have answered your question, Cheryl. Okay, so that is one other question. Then there is, okay, just a second. Is the final award the total amount or the second payment? If you're making monthly payments on a total grant amount, how do you record that? So basically what you could do is use the initial award as monthly award and use the final award as the total amount that has been given to the applicant. And every month you could, or in a period of time, let's say 3 months or 6 months, you could continue adding the initial award. Let's just say it was $10,000 and every 2 months you were giving them $2,000. So what you could do is use the final award field as 10,000 and initial award as 2,000. And every 2 months or so, you could use the notification email, use the initial award merge field as Christine has shown, and inform the applicant that the award of $2,000 has been given to them. So that's how you could record that information. I think I have answered all of the questions, Christine, unless you have to add anything in here.
No, oh, that's all good.
Okay. Okay. So I'll let you take it from here. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, yeah, and then the question on the monthly, you might want to, I would recommend you do a process review because you might want to get a little bit more detailed as to how they do that awarding, because you
Yes,
want to make
yes,
sure that the monetary amounts falling in the correct fiscal years and that sort of thing as well too.
yes. Ren, yeah,
There
Ren,
might
we
be
can
some
schedule a call.
there might be some caveats to that. Okay, perfect.
Definitely.
Okay, so
Thank you
yeah,
so much.
so Rachel, I believe, yeah, if you ask that question, you might want to do a process review and get a little bit more clarification on that with the team. Okay.
Will do.
Yes. So let's go ahead and continue now. And let me see if I got this. I can close that, get out of my, okay. So now let's go forward and talk about, now you've awarded your applicants. And once you've awarded your applicants, excuse me here for just a minute. Excuse me, I'm getting kind of hoarse. Okay. So now that you've awarded your applicants, and so you send them an email. And so we have a process for acceptance and post-acceptance section. So what are the difference? An accepted section is once you've awarded your applicant, you want to provide an award agreement maybe for them. And then they go through a process where they can accept the award. And then once they complete, you create a section with all the questions that you want to gather. And once they complete that section, and then they have a little button in the upper right hand corner, and I will go in as an applicant to kind of show you this later, but they'll have a button that says accept. As soon as they hit the accept button, their status will move to accepted for an award accepted, and then you'll know that they've completed that section. It's done and they've completed it. So that's for the award. They accept the award. You can give them award agreements. You can capture maybe data as to how they want the funding paid out. Any question you need to gather from them at the award stage. Once you award them, what are some things you need to get from those applicants? How do you get that data? Then once they go to accepted for an award, then you can have what's called post-accepted sections. Those are sections that come after they've accepted the award. Then after they've accepted the award, maybe you have, especially grant users, 6 months, you do a mid-year report or a year-end reporting to report on their funding. How are they doing with that funding? Scholarship users, maybe they come back in 6 months and you need to capture more data. How do you create those? Well, those are post-accepted sections. Those are sections that allow you to get data after they've been awarded and the whole award process is over. You can create sections in the application. Yes, you can have multiple post-accepted sections, and then they can complete those through the process of that specific scholarship or that grant that they're being awarded. So I'm going to show you a couple of sections that have been created in regards to the site that I have here, the grant site. And so I'm going to go here and I'm going to go to application settings because that's where those sections are built. And then I'm going to scroll down and you're going to see over here section type. So the application section type and the request, those were all part of the initial application. The deadlines were the same date as the application. Then we have an award agreement section. And then I have this is an acceptance with a deadline. And then I have a post-accepted section with deadlines as well. So I have a mid-year, a year-end, and then maybe another little section that I want to release to them maybe somewhere in my process as well. So these are just sections. You build them like you normally do a regular section. However, let's talk about the award agreement. So the award agreement, the acceptance section, when you create that, there is a special thing you want to do. So I'm going to go over here to the edit and select that. So now that I'm here in the edit, when you create an acceptance section, you want to make sure you do section type acceptance so that when you're looking at that screen we were just looking at, you can quickly identify what your acceptance sections are. And then down here, you identify where in the process does the applicant get that section. So I'm saying as soon as an applicant, so remember when I said they get a final award, those sections could start appearing. Well, this is one of them. So I'm saying any applicant that has a status of selected for an award, award accepted, and award declined. I select all three of these because if they accept the award, it stays on their dashboard. Because if I didn't select this, then as soon as they went to award accepted status, it would disappear from their dashboard. So I have selected for an award accepted, and I might want this section to stay. It's their award section in case they accidentally hit award declined. That's still there. If they do decide, you might have where, they can decline it. Maybe they can come back. I don't know your process, but you might have that. So that's why I keep it on those three statuses. So what this is telling us is if an applicant doesn't get an award, so it's not, maybe they're not selected for an award or you haven't even given them an award, they're still under committee review, they're not going to get this section. This is only sections that appear to applicants that have moved forward in their statuses. So as long as the status stays one of these three, this section is going to appear on their dashboard. And then of course, since this isn't part of the initial application, these come after the application. The deadline date needs to be different, so it does have to have its own deadline. And so as soon as you hit section deadline, you'll see here, it's going to give you a place where you can enter that deadline date. Now in these specific sections, you don't want to put a submit button. You don't need a submit button. So what you can do is leave the submit button off if you wish. And then I don't recommend using one, but the post acceptance you do, but this one, you're going to have that little green button that I talked about that identifies that actually is the submittal process for this. Because if you put a submit button here, the applicant might not go up and hit that accept button. So here is where you're going to give them instructions on what they need to do. And when they're completing the section, so they know they're not, all they got to do is complete the section and they're done, you want to give them instructions as much as possible on, okay, you're done with this section. Now that you're done with this section, please return to your dashboard and click the accept button so that'll finalize the process of the acceptance. Okay, and then once you do that, you just want to make sure and hit save and exit to save any changes you made on that section. So that's an award agreement. So I'm just going to kind of show you here some little tips on award agreements. So say you have an award agreement form. But each one of your applicants, you might have the need to provide different information to them based on their award. So one award gets one type, one award gets another type. How do I do that? How do I can create an award agreement, and I have all these things, and here's the grant terms, but maybe ones have different grant terms. Maybe they have different contingencies depending on what their program was or what their funding was. You have different contingencies. How do I do that? Since this goes to everyone, so what you can do is you can actually create staff sections. And in the staff section, this one here, I have my staff award decision. I can create messages in my staff section that will appear based on what I've triggered in the staff section. It'll appear on that acceptance section. So let's say I have a different contingency for all of my applicants. So what I can do is on that applicant, so let's say I have this applicant, I can go into my staff section on that applicant, and I can have an essay box field for my staff to complete, and then that's where they would put the specific contingency for that specific applicant. So I'm on the applicant, I'm on their staff section, I have an essay box as a staff member, I'm populating that on the staff section. The applicant can't see that. But if you'll notice here, I have all these different fields, I have all these different messages in my staff section. The staff member completes it, and then what you can do is you can go into the award agreement and you can create linked questions to other areas within the application form. So this is the project name, this is their project summary, maybe it's a grant. In the original application, you collected information in regards to the use of the funding. Maybe a logic model information, like what was the usage. You can actually link that here so that when you come here, you can see and do a comparison. And then here, you can link additional award contingencies. So that's that essay box question I have in my staff section. For that individual applicant, that staff member types something. And so since this is linked, it's going to put what that was typed for just that specific applicant. I created this linkage here. Maybe they have final reports, different due dates for that. Post-grant evaluation final report is due, and there's another linkage that's to the staff section. So if you have different data for different applicants, you create a staff section. The staff enters for each individual applicant what they want it to say for just that applicant, and then they come here to the agreement, and then they can link it there in the agreement form. So that's a nice little helpful hint there on that. That's how you can get different messages to different applicants. Okay, so there's our award agreement. So now the award agreement, of course, is just capturing that award agreement. They've agreed to the award. This is the terms of the award, and then everything you want to capture. Then they go and let's say they complete that section and they click the accept button. They've clicked the accept button, and now it's time for the evaluation period. So it's time for the mid-year grant report. So if you notice here, I have these post-accepted sections. How do you build those? Again, go into the edit. There's a couple little different things. Of course, the first one, section type, is going to be post-acceptance. It's going to have a deadline date. But in our system, the last status available is award accepted. Award accepted is the last status that our system will move applicants to. So here is the award accepted. And so what I'm saying now is the only applicants that are going to get this section are the ones that have actually accepted the award. I only want them to get it when they've accepted the award. So it's only going to be a status of award accepted, because if they don't accept the award, then they're not going to get this section because they didn't accept the award, of course. So anyone who's award accepted, it'll show. So since the last status is award accepted, how does the system, how would you know as a admin, because there's no more statuses, that they've completed a post-accepted section? Well, when creating post-acceptance sections, you do want to have the submit button, because we have a special report I'm going to show you here in a minute that's specifically designed for post-acceptance sections. So you want to make sure the acceptance type is that. And then there's a submit button on the bottom of the page. When the applicant clicks that submit button, then it's going to tell the system they've submitted that section. The post acceptance section has been submitted, and it'll show on that report that they've submitted it. So that's that post acceptance. You want a submit button. You must have a submit button on that so that you can go to that report and see when that section has been done. Okay, so that's how you do that. And then of course you make your adjustments and then make sure to hit save and exit to make those changes. Okay, so here's my evaluation report. I'm just going to open it up. You can just kind of see what type of funding, what have you achieved in the past 3 years. That's a linked question from their original application. How many participants will you serve? That was originally in their application. And then how many did you actually serve? So that's kind of how you can do this. You can capture this data. You can see this was the question they answered in the original application. Now these are your results. Here's the results of the funding that they received. So that's an acceptance section, and that's after the award process. Now, there also is a nice little tip. So you may say, okay, the applicant clicks the accept button and they're at award accepted, and now this is sitting out there and they can complete it. Well, there is a way you can keep them from seeing this section, and even the award acceptance section, you can keep them from seeing it. But if you're not ready for them to get the section yet, all you need to do before you release it to them is just remove the little check marks here, and then they won't see that on their dashboard. Remove the check marks, hit save, and then when it comes time for them, maybe you want to send them a notification first, then release it. You don't want them going in yet. Then once you're ready for them to complete it, you come back here, hit the checkbox, and hit save. The mid-year report, you don't want them getting that until December 31st. So I'm not going to activate it until December 31st or December 30th. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to click the checkbox. I'm going to hit save. And then once I hit save, I then will go out to all the applicants I need to get that from and send them a nice little notification email and say, hey, it's time to do your mid-year evaluation report. Then the next time April next year comes around, I'm going to do the same. They're not going to see this on their dashboard. They're not going to be able to complete it until I come here and activate it and hit save. So now maybe it's March 30th and I want to notify them March 1st that they have until April 1st to complete that section, and then I'm going to click it and activate it, hit save, and send them that notification to let them know it's there for them to complete. Okay. And then always make sure anytime you activate and deactivate a section that you mark it and make sure to hit the save button at the same time so that it keeps that information. So that's how you can release those sections and kind of manually control when they see it, because of course the status says as soon as they get to that status, it's going to show. But you don't want it because you're not ready. It's not close to December 30th, and so you don't want them to get it yet. So you want to hold it so that they can't do it until you've actually released it to them. Now, the post-accepted sections, once an applicant completes that, there is a report. It's under here, Manage Reports. So the Manage Post-Acceptance Section Status Report is a report that allows you to see when they've clicked the Submit button on the section. So when you give them instructions on that section, it's very important that you add instructions on that section. I usually put it in my section notes, the instructions at the top, and then I actually add a message question type at the bottom, big, bold. As soon as you complete this section, be sure to click the Submit button. So as soon as they hit the Submit button on a post-accepted section, it will report to them on the report, which is under Manage Reports. And you'll notice right here, Report Manage Post-Accepted Sections. And any section that is designed as a post-accepted section, where it says post-accepted section in the section type, it's going to create a column for each one of those sections. Then as the applicant clicks the Submit button in that section, that's why when you build a post-accepted section, you have a Submit button, so that as soon as they submit it, it's going to show submitted on and then the date. So this applicant, they've completed both of those sections, and this is what you're going to know. Okay, they've completed it. I don't need to reach out to them. Maybe this one here, they haven't completed it, so I need to reach out to them. That's how you'll see when those post-accepted sections are done. The award agreement, that accepted section, you're going to know it's done because you're going to be looking at manage applications, and as you're looking at the manage applications, you're looking at status, and this one here, award accepted. So I know, okay, they've completed that section. Selected for an award, they have not completed that acceptance section. So that's how you tell the difference, because remember, an acceptance section is going to appear as soon as they're an award accepted. So none of these individuals have accepted their actual application award. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so now let's go look at this from the applicant's perspective. So how does the applicant see all this in the process? So I'm going to log out. I'm going to log in, hopefully as an applicant here. I think I awarded her. And so I'm an applicant now. And so I'm going to go through the process of how the applicant sees all this. So now I do have my acceptance and post-accepted sections activated. So they're going to see those as soon as they complete a section and move to the next status. So now as an applicant, they're going to go to their My Applications, because you're going to want to know how to give them instructions when you're ready to, you've awarded them, and then in your email, you're going to say return to your application form through your My Applications tab and return to the original application that you submitted. So I think it was this one that she submitted that I awarded her. So now she's going in, and I've told her she needs to complete the award acceptance process. So in this scenario, she's done it. She's completed her award agreement. So this was the award agreement section. I had her complete. So she went in and completed all the fields. There's some of them that were linked fields to the original application. This was the messages I gave her. There's my contingencies that I created in the staff section specifically for her. And then any other data that she might need to capture. Some of the fields you can see I've made them required. Some of them are just, my post-grant evaluation. I tell her when the date it's due. And maybe there's some additional attachments that she might want to include as part of the agreement process. I have those questions for her to include as well. And then of course you notice there was no submit button, but she would have a save and then a return to dashboard. Okay, so there's the award agreement. Now remember I said in the process, make sure they know after they complete the award agreement acceptance section, there's two buttons, a decline or an accept. If she clicks the decline, her status is going to go to award declined. Okay, she's didn't accept the award. If she clicks the accept button, then it's going to go to award accepted. So she's going to click the accept button. And they can't click the accept button if not everything, it's just like a submittal, if not everything's 100% complete, it's not going to allow them to click it. And so now it's just saying confirm. So I'm going to click the accept award. And I'm going to go out. And now you'll notice she does have to go out. So you notice as soon as she accepted it, those other sections didn't appear. She does have to go out of the dashboard. And now notice here, her status now says award accepted. You as the admin are going to see her status is award accepted as the admin. It's going to show that. So now it comes time for her mid-year report. So what does she do? She comes back here, you give her instructions, go back to your original application form and click on it. And now she has those two sections, because remember I have this one activated. So if I didn't have that activated, it wouldn't be showing, but since I do have it activated, she sees both of them. So as soon as she went to award accepted, she went out, came back in. Notice her status here says award accepted. She now has those on her dashboard and she can complete them. So then she's going to go in, she's going to complete it. And then as part of this process, if I scroll to the bottom here, notice there's that submit button. When we built the section out, we told it to include a submit button. I told her once she completes this section to be sure to hit that submit. They have to hit the submit, and they also need to hit the save as well. And then they can return to the dashboard, and then they're done. That's all they need to do. They don't have any buttons up here to click. So that's how it works from the applicant's perspective. So that's all I have to show you for today. So Maureen, I'm going to turn it over to you to go ahead and take any final questions. It's all yours.
Thank you so much, Christine. Yes. Um, So let's start with this question. Do the applicants get notified once the award has been given? Is there an automatic email sent out from the system? No, there is no such email. Christine has explained that earlier, but I just wanted to reiterate once again that there's no automatic emails being sent to any of the awarded applicants, even when you're giving them the final award. You have to, or the admin has to manually send the notification emails. We do that to make sure that the applicants' emails inboxes are not spammed with unnecessary emails. You make these conscious decisions. These emails are very important because you're also providing instructions on the post-awarding or awarding and the post-awarding phase. Please make sure when you're notifying, as Christine has mentioned earlier as well, in these awarding emails, please provide all necessary instructions as well to your applicants for the next steps to come. So automatic emails are not sent out. Is it possible to receive email notifications when the post-acceptance sections are complete? Yes, absolutely. There is a site setting. Christine, can we go back to the admin dashboard, please? So this has to be done from the administration screen from the admin side. It's just a setting that you need to enable. Let's go to administration and then the site settings. Yeah. Okay. And let's scroll down to enable post acceptance notification. Yeah. Enable post acceptance section submit notification. Once you enable this, the admin or the contact of the application will receive email notifications once the applicant clicks on submit. So the submit also works with the post acceptance section report, as well as to notify the admin or the application contact that this post acceptance section has been completed. Okay, so that is another question. There was another question that says, just a second. Can a scholarship recipient upload documents to the post acceptance sections? Absolutely. Just like you create your normal sections in the application, you can add questions that are file type. Just make sure that you add the correct formats. That is, if you're just looking for image or PDF files or Excel or Word documents, make sure you add the correct formats that you're allowing your applicants to upload. And then, as you work with your normal application sections, it works the same way. So you can definitely expect your applicants to upload transcripts, any other budget reports, etc., into the application, even on the post acceptance and acceptance sections. Okay, Emiko, I'll go through your question and I'll answer your question too. For now, these are my answers, Christine. I will stop here. Emiko, I'm just copying your question. I'll give you the answer as well. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Maureen, for answering those questions. Nice job there. So, of course, this brings us to the end of the session for today. And so, of course, with the handout, make sure you do get the handout so that you can get the resources that go into a little bit more detail on how to do specific items that we don't, of course, we can't cover every little detail, but there are some guides out there. If you click the links in that guide, it will take you automatically to those items. So it's always nice to get a downloaded copy of that handout through that handout section by clicking on the title of the handout, and that will give you the guide with the quick links to all the resources of the items that we covered today. So we do want to thank you all for attending, and there will be a recording of this meeting. It should be in your inbox within the next day, like Maureen was saying. And then, of course, if you do have any additional questions, or if there was something that we didn't quite, you didn't quite understand, and you might need a more in-depth conversation with our client support team, feel free to enter a support ticket in Zendesk and ask for assistance by one of the client support specialists, and they'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. And of course, this is our Zendesk location where you can enter those support tickets if you have a login availability. So if you're a global admin, you should have access to that Zendesk account. If you're not, then you would need to talk to the global admin and get them to enter that support ticket for you. So we hope you all had um, an informative session today. And of course, the next one we'll be doing will be the 1-to-many awarding. So if you have more than one application, you have one application with more than one fund, and you're a scholarship user. If you're a grant user as well, it's majority of our scholarships users is one to have the one-to-many, but that's what we'll be covering in the next session, which will be on June 24th. So we hope everyone has a wonderful day, and thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to meet with us. We appreciate that. Thank you. Talk to you later.